My name is Tim Urich, and I'm the principal of the Shawnee Heights Middle School Virtual School. I'd like to welcome all students, parents, and guardians back to the 2021 school year. During this presentation, I'll provide a general overview of how we're going to conduct virtual school at Shawnee Heights Middle School. There are several major components. If you find yourself wanting to go back and review a component or fast forward and review a part of the presentation, look for this school bus graphic. We'll cover key dates. We'll talk about the 4 Shawnee Heights Middle School Virtual School Remote Learning Assurances. These are the guarantees that we provide for our parents and students. We'll discuss iPad setup, care, and maintenance. We'll talk about the first days and week of school for all of our learners. We'll discuss COVID-19 transmission mitigation. On 8/26 and 8/27, the building was open for iPad pickup. If you weren't able to attend, please contact the school by phone, 785-379-5830, and ask to come in and pick up your child's iPad. If you're not able to pick it up, just come and get it on the very first day of school. On 8/31, the teachers are going to have a work day. Students can expect to begin receiving emails from their core and elective teachers on 8/31. The first day for all students to begin learning is on September 1st. And if you're in cohort A, B, or C, you will begin learning on September 1st. Cohort A students will come to school and attend in building. Cohort B and C students will attend remotely. This part of the presentation covers the 4 quality assurances that we're making to students and parents of the Shawnee Heights Middle School Virtual School. Shawnee Heights Middle School is a virtual school for the 2021 school year. On September 1st, all students will begin learning. Cohort A will attend in building, while Cohort B and C will begin online. On 8/31, the teachers have a work day. All students can expect to receive introductory emails and calendar invites for first week activities. These emails will cover your learning expectations for the week and be calendar invites for your Teams meetings through Microsoft Teams. In 2021, we've switched from Zoom to Microsoft Teams, which is a video conferencing platform. This graphic outlines the similarities between hybrid and remote students. At Shawnee Heights Middle School Virtual School, all students are remote learners. If you're on a hybrid track, you come to the building twice a week to learn and have your lessons facilitated by teachers, but the lessons and the content are the same. Our goal with the hybrid learning model is to create a condition where teachers can teach from anywhere and students can learn from anywhere. One lesson for all students. Our learning model has 4 learning assurances. First, students will receive content and assessment created by teachers based on the Kansas standards. Students are going to have access to teachers, mental health team providers, principals, and counselors on an as-needed basis. Students can walk down when they're in building and see their administrators and counselors. Students can make appointments with their administrators and counselors via form on their iPad when they're not learning in the building that day. This slide outlines the 4 assurances that we're providing to students and parents of the virtual school. First, students are going to have access to high-quality content created by Shawnee Heights Middle School Virtual School teachers based on the Kansas standards and delivered through our learning management system, Canvas. Recall, all students at the virtual school are remote virtual students, but those in cohort A and B have an opportunity to come to the school and have those lessons facilitated by their teachers twice a week. No matter where students are, they'll have access to their teachers, to mental health team professionals, and to their administrators. Students will check in with their advisor teachers every morning if they're not learning in the building. For 8th grade students, that's 9:35. For 7th grade students, that's 10:35. You'll check in with a video call via Microsoft Teams, which is on everyone's iPad. Lastly, students will have access to an example learning log provided by their core team teachers and a unified learning log provided by their elective teachers. These logs will make a recommendation as to the learning activities, lessons, and enrichment activities that teachers expect students to be doing every day. It will help students provide structure in their learning day when they're learning from home and provide estimated amounts of time for completion. In the virtual school this year, students will be required to maintain a personal log, and we'll discuss more of that in just a bit. Our primary learning assurance is that students are going to have in-person and virtual classrooms where they all have access to the knowledge, learn at their own pace, and master each skill before moving on to the next. Virtual school is going to look differently in 2021 than it did when we were in crisis remote learning during the fourth quarter. Students can expect to see short 5 to 9 minute videos with frequent breaks during the videos to check for understanding. Students will have guided notes for many lessons. They'll be expected to complete these guided notes based on the readings and video content and maybe even submit them. Lessons will be largely self-paced. Students will have a recommendation for pacing, and they'll have a recommendation for the assignments and activities they should complete during the day based on the learning log, but students will be able to learn at a pace that works for them. The second assurance is access to teachers. There are a lot of questions about how will my student get the help that he or she needs when the teachers and the student aren't in the same location. Students will be able to submit questions to their teacher through Canvas Messenger, through email, and they'll be able to talk to their advisor teachers every day on a morning conference call. Students can request appointments from their counselors, from the social worker, or from me and the assistant principal, Mr. Mickens, via a form. Every student's iPad has a form called Shawnee Heights Middle School Make Appointment Form. This form is useful for making an appointment with a counselor or principal, requesting service of some type from a counselor or principal, or for reporting bullying or inappropriate online behavior. When you're learning off-site, you're going to run into questions. Your teachers are available to and will respond to your questions. To reach your teachers, send them a message through Canvas Messenger or send them an email. This graphic contains an example email of a polite request to a teacher. Mr. Urich, I've watched the math lesson on integers several times and took notes. I cannot quite understand how. May we please make an appointment for Wednesday? Thank you, Mr. Mickens. Mr. Mickens is the assistant principal. This is a great way to get help from your teacher because you've communicated that you've done the work and you've tried to learn on your own, that you've accessed resources, and you have a very specific question. Teachers will respond to you. They appreciate this kind of question. What's not as helpful is when you email with no capitalization or punctuation, I don't understand, because then the teacher has to ask you follow-up questions. Ask your teacher specific questions and form it as a polite request. Unlike the fourth quarter, teachers and students are going to have daily required contact with each other. If you're in 8th grade, your Teams call through Microsoft Teams will be at 9:25. If you're in 7th grade, your Teams call through Microsoft Teams will be at 10:35. This is with your advisor. An easy way to remember if you have to participate in a team call is this. Are you in the building? If the answer is no, you have to participate in a Teams call with your advisor teacher. That's 9:35 and 10:25 for 8th grade and 7th grade respectively. Cohort C. Because you won't have access to the same type of onboarding activities as our in-building Cohort A and B students, you'll have some extra calls. On 9-1, 9-2, and 9-3 at 1 o'clock each of those days, you'll be on a call with me, Mr. Mickens, and our guidance staff. And we'll conduct some onboarding activities with you and do some question and answering. You'll receive invites for all of these required meetings on 8/31. That's August 31st. That's the teacher workday. The learning log is a couple of things. The team and the elective team will provide an example learning log, and it will set a suggested pace, it will give suggested activities, and will provide suggested amounts of time for you to complete those activities. You'll be able to use those example learning logs to understand more about what you're supposed to be doing on a day-by-day and a week-by-week basis. Students are required to maintain a personal learning log. That is a requirement by the KSDE. Students must record 360 minutes of learning and enrichment activities every day. That's about the amount of time that you're in this building normally. And so we're going to do that. And your advisor teacher is going to share example logs with you. Your advisor teacher is going to share a log with you, and your responsibility is going to be to take that log and to add a parent, a guardian, or other responsible adult, give them edit rights, and then share that back with your advisor teacher. You'll put your name on it, and then you will begin to annotate your learning activities on that learning log. And we're going to help you understand that process so you can be successful. This is an example of a learning log. You can see on the left, it lists periods 1 through 7. There's 7 periods plus advisor. And I've just preloaded in some learning activities. You can see this student starts with math and took an integer lesson. And the student has recorded the amount of time that they spent on each of these learning activities throughout the day. At the end, you'll notice it says advisor/other. That's there as a catch-all for other activities that you do to support learning. If you're in PE, for example, you might have done an extra workout for Coach Parks, or you're reading a book for your ELA class. Make sure that your learning log is 360 or higher every day. In this section of the presentation, we're going to talk about the setup and general care and maintenance and expectations of the student's district-assigned iPad. The iPad is the primary delivery method for online learning at the Shawnee Heights Middle School virtual school, and our learning management system is called Canvas. Students, it is your responsibility to take care of your iPad. Make sure that you bring it every day, that it's here and that it's charged so that you can learn. Without a charged iPad that's at school on your in-building days, I'm talking to cohort A and B students, it would be very difficult for you to learn. Earbuds are a required school supply. The teachers are creating online content that you will access when you're in building. You'll like to have earbuds. A stylus will be very helpful. I have many styluses donated to us by the Urich Credit Union. They're down in the office. If you want to have a stylus from me, you can come down and get one, but it's very helpful for note-taking and writing. Be extra careful with your iPad. Normally, we can expect a student about every other week to drop their iPad and crack a screen. We cannot allow that to occur. The district is critically short of devices across this district, and I may not be able to get you a replacement while your screen is being repaired. So please be very careful with it. I recommend that when you're thinking about book bag choices for this year, that you get a book bag that has a padded inner pocket. Lastly, be a super digital citizen when you're using district-assigned technology. Know that everything that you type and search for is being recorded, and I can retrieve it. Let's discuss the setup of your iPad. This is a screenshot of a sheet that every student who came and collected an iPad this week received. At the top of the sheet, it provides detailed setup instructions in a summary format. The place where apps are located on your device is called Manager this year. If you need an app, it will be in Manager. I encourage you to open Manager and to explore the apps that are available. Download the apps that your teachers tell you to download. You'll need Google Drive, OneDrive, Teams. Some classes will require Notability. All of those are available in Manager. The middle column on this sheet will tell you which email address you have to use to sign into these apps. As a special note, when you log into Canvas, if you're not signed in to your @shawneeheights.net account in that browser, you will be prompted to authenticate your @shawneeheights.net account. That means you have to type in your @shawneeheights.net email address and then your password. A special note on setting up your email. Each student has 2 email addresses, @shawneeheights.net and @usd450.org. Apply both of these email addresses to your iPad. Through the settings icon, you can add these email addresses to the iPad's native email client. And you see the icon for that email client at the bottom right of the screen. We have a fantastic resource for students and parents of the virtual school this year. It is the Shawnee Heights Middle School Technology Help Course. We have several teachers at the school who have loaded this course with about 100 videos organized by topic and by app. I sent every student in the school a link to join this Canvas course. It went to their @shawneeheights.net email address. Find this link and enroll in the course. If you don't have the link, request it from a friend, or you can send an email to Urich. Start typing Urich in your email client, and my name will populate, and just say, hey, Mr. Urich, can I please have the link for the Technology Help course? So many of your questions about common functions in apps can be answered if you watch videos in the section related to that app. For example, there are more than 10 videos on how to set up and make Teams calls. In this part of the presentation, we'll discuss the middle school's plan to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Our mitigation strategy has several main parts. The first is masks and social distancing. A properly fitting mask is an important component of a child's school day when they're attending in building. All students, teachers, and visitors to the school must wear a mask during the school day. Throughout the school day, we'll encourage students to observe 6 feet of social distance, with only infrequent instances when they're closer than that. Students will wash or sanitize their hands hourly. This will typically be when they use the restroom or on their way into the classroom. The teacher will allow them to have access to hand sanitizer. We're all going to do a great job of cleaning surfaces during the school day. This means students will clean their workstation before the bell rings and before they transition to the next period. The building will receive a deep cleaning on those weeks where we have the Wednesdays for virtual learning. Temperature checks and symptom monitoring go hand in hand. Students should not come to school if they have a fever, and all students, teachers, school workers, and patrons will be required to have a temperature check before they enter the building. At the middle school, the most common place to enter the building is through the front doors. There will be 2 temperature checking stations there. Please use those when you come into the building. Students will give you a lot of coaching on that. It will become very automatic. Let's discuss masks. A properly fitting mask covers a person's nose, mouth, and comes down to their chin. Many students have been in the school to pick up their iPads or to participate in sports practices. The most common problem I've noticed among students wearing masks is the mask is just too loose. Parents, ensure that your children have a properly fitting mask that won't fall down over their nose. It'll make their learning day much more comfortable. We don't wear masks when we're drinking water, when we're at lunch, or when the students are engaged in physical training. My tips here are that your child's day at the school will be much more comfortable and they'll have a much more satisfying learning experience if the mask is comfortable and if they're acclimated to wearing your mask. I recommend that each student have a backup mask in their locker. Here's a graphic of students participating in the morning temperature check. This is a picture of the scanner that you see. Students will walk up to the scanner, look at it. There's an outline of a person's face. The student just needs to put their face within the outline, and the scanner will give them a pass or a no pass. Any student who has a temperature will be taken down to the nurse's office and then given instruction and an opportunity to rest. There's a room right across from the nurse's office where students will take a rest. After 10 minutes, we'll scan their temperature again. If their temperature is normal, they'll be able to pass on to class. If not, we'll give the parent a call for the student to go home. This will become very routine. Symptom monitoring will become an important part of every family's morning routine during the 2021 school year. The list of possible COVID-19 symptoms is here on the left. We don't want your student to come to school if they have a fever of any type. You read about 100.4 or 100.5 as being a possible indication of a COVID-19 infection, but we don't want to have any student in this building learning with a fever. Know this, the content and the lessons are the same whether you're learning in building or at home. So if you don't feel well, if you have COVID-19 symptoms, please learn from home that day. All of this information is available on the district's Back to School website. You can view these symptoms in great detail, post them up in the house, and have a daily conversation before your child gets on the bus or is driven to school. We will take attendance for students who are doing their early morning calls with their advisor teacher. These are our remote learners. And we will take attendance for our students who are learning in building. Parents, if your child is too ill to learn remotely, whether they're a cohort C person or an A and B student and they weren't going to be in building that day anyway, please call the school and let us know. If you are going to take your child in for a COVID-19 test, please send Tim Urich an email. And if your child has a positive COVID-19 test, please report that to me confidentially. I would appreciate it. If your child develops COVID-19 symptoms at home or at school, there's certain return to school protocols that we should follow to keep ourselves safe at the middle school. The first is If a medical provider clears your student of a COVID-19 infection, he or she can return to school. If your student receives a negative COVID-19 test result, or if 10 days have passed since symptoms first appeared. If you're concerned about a potential positive case, our Back to School Plan website on the USD 450 website has some information about how to acquire a COVID-19 test. In all instances, maintain contact with your child's primary care physician, their doctor, and the school. This part of the presentation will cover the first days of school for our in-building and remote learners. A little bit different this year is that our doors are going to open at 7:05 instead of 6:40. The drop-off time is just a little later. Between 7:05 and when you as a parent see buses up front, you may drop your students off in front of the school. If buses are present in the front of the school in the morning, then you must take them around to the car rider entrance that's on the west end of the school. All students, teachers, and patrons will walk through our temperature scanners when they enter the building. Students who arrive early, that's between 7:05 and 7:25, will wait on large benches that are in the main hallway by the office. You must wear a mask and maintain 6 feet of social distance. On the first day of school, students report to the gym if they're in 7th grade and report to the commons if they're in 8th grade. Mr. Mickens and I are going to address all of you. We're going to talk about your day, and we're going to give you a presentation on mitigating the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Different this year is that students will access their lockers at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. Students will carry a book bag with them containing their iPad, papers, writing utensils, and other school supplies, plus a water bottle. A water bottle is required this year. We want you to use bottle filling stations instead of drinking directly from the water fountains. When you're in building, you'll rotate through all of your classes, plus advisor. For the first weeks of school, the teachers are very gentle, they're very coaching, and will help you navigate your school day. This is a copy of the bell schedule. You can pause this presentation here and have a detailed look at the bell schedule. What I'll say is that we do serve a breakfast here at the middle school. It'll be a grab-and-go breakfast. It's available from the time the child is dropped off or gets off the bus. You'll get the breakfast from the cafeteria and then take it and eat it in the commons if you're an 8th grader, or take it down to the gym and eat it if you're a 7th grader. Students, when you're waiting in the gym and the commons area in the morning, you need to wear your mask and maintain 6 feet of social distance. Generally, if you're fingertip to fingertip with another student and your arms are outstretched, as a 13-year-old, you're about 6 feet apart. The first week for Cohort C. Remember that all learners are remote learners in our virtual school, but students in Cohort A and B will come to school 2 days a week. Cohort C students will learn completely from home. All virtual students can expect a little bit lighter of a content offering the first week because we're focusing on onboarding with our technology. We're focused on social emotional learning. We're creating a lot of success and quick wins for students. At the bottom of this slide, you'll see how we are estimating your capacity for the first few weeks of school. You can expect approximately 4 to 5 hours of instruction and learning activities in the core classes, 3 to 4 in elective classes. A wheel class is a special class taught by an elective teacher, and you can expect 2 to 3 hours of work. That's lessons and required learning activities in those classes. During the first week of school, Cohort C and all remote learners will set up their learning logs. The learning log has 2 parts. There will be the example learning log that's sent to you by your core teams and sent to you by the elective teachers. There's one example learning log for each core team and a unified learning log that has each elective class on it. Those will help you keep the pace, and those will help you to know what learning activities and instruction and enrichment, along with estimated amounts of time, the teachers expect from you that week. You'll set up your personal learning log. Your advisor teacher will give you a link to your personal learning log, and you're going to share that with a responsible parent or guardian at home, and you'll share that back with your advisor teacher. All cohort students, A, B, and C, are going to have access to the library. If you're in the C cohort and you want to come to the library for the first week of school, that's fine. You can simply show up at school and use the library. Mrs. Rottinghouse will be there. It might be nice if you sent her an email indicating you'd like to come and check out books. Her last name is Rottinghouse, and you can find her in the @ShawneeHeights.net email list. Cohort C students are going to have a few additional calls the first week. That's so we can conduct onboarding and orientation type activities with you. They'll be at 1 p.m. on September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and I'll join you on the September 1st call. We're doing all of our calling through Microsoft Teams. It is an app on your iPad. If you don't see it there, you can find it in the Manager app. Your call is going to be at 9:35 if you're in 8th grade and 10:25 if you're in 7th grade. How do you know if you're going to get called? You ask yourself, am I in the building today? If the answer is no, I'm not, then you need to participate in that call. It'll take about 10 minutes. During that time, your teacher will check in with you, route concerns, do Q&As, provide content prompts and reminders, and potentially schedule you for time with your teachers. We have to all keep in mind that this year is going to be a very different schooling experience for our teachers, for our students, and for our parents. Don't judge this experience based on the first day or even the first week. We're all learning to do this together. No one signed up to be a virtual school student. We know that it's best to learn in building, but we're doing it this way so that we can have a model that's sustainable, that's workable, that allows learning to occur wherever students are in building or at home, and allows teachers to teach wherever they are in building or at home. This model is resilient and will be able to continue even if learning in this building could be potentially disruptive. Our vision is to provide in-person and virtual classes where every student has unlimited access to content and knowledge, learns at their own pace, and masters skills. This school year is going to be a 50-50 partnership between teachers and students. Students, you need to attend to your lessons. Set a daily schedule for yourself when you're not in building and follow a consistent routine. Log into your courses, consume the video content and the written content, submit your assignments, keep your learning log, and reach out to teachers when you have questions by sending them polite requests through Canvas Messenger or through email. I know that we can be successful at the virtual school together because we did it pretty well during the 4th quarter, and it's going to be even better this year. Please reach out to me if you have questions. You can find me at Urich at usd450.net or at ShawneeHeights.net. Thank you so much, and welcome to the 2021 school year at Shawnee Heights Middle School Virtual School.